back-to-back wins off the bottom of the table. It must be a great feeling, but how important is it that you now go on and make that count going forward?
Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, there's a really good atmosphere about the place, given recent results. It was very important that, we did get that bit of momentum, and that, we showed that we were able to put a run of positive results together. We knew that if we could do that, then it would have a real positive impact on how the league table looks. I think the important thing for us now as a group is the fact that it's very much in our hands. But we can't get carried away. As much as we've enjoyed the positivity that's came our way in the last couple of weeks, we can't rest on our laurels. It's as simple as that. We have to keep working hard in training and make sure that we don't take our foot off the pedal.
And there obviously has been a shift to settling results and performances since you came in. I mean, have you seen that on the training ground as well, and the sort of atmosphere around the place? Have you seen a bit of a shift?
Well, I think they're a very good group of players to work with. I recognised the quality within the group prior to taking the job. There was clearly a lack of confidence and a lack of belief possibly within the group at times. But I think they've managed to restore that, or have certainly went some way to restoring it. Winning games of football breeds confidence, and I think that's now very much running through the whole camp. It's not just about the players who are starting the games. There's a really good positive vibe within the whole group, and that's makes my life as a manager a hell of a lot easier when the boys are in a good place. So training this week, we've not changed a great deal to what we were doing in the build up to the Motherwell game or prior to the Hibs game. There's very much high demands put on the players throughout the week. We're not going to take our foot off the gas now. We haven't done anything yet. We have put ourselves in a good position to avoid relegation, but at the same time, I've been in the game long enough to know that one bad fixture in our way, one bad result in our favour, and a positive result in the teams below us favour, then it can all flip on its head again. So we just have to make sure that we approach every game between now and the end of the season in the right manner.
And Livingston obviously have something to fight for themselves. I mean, what are you expecting from them, and how big a game is this going to be?
Well, yes, I mean, you're right to point out, obviously it's a big game for Livingston, there's no doubt about that. They're fighting for top six, and Davy's had really good success in recent seasons and been up there in amongst it. And I'm sure they'll be disappointed if they don't get there again this year. They've invested heavily in the squad, I think, probably more so this year than what they have done in previous seasons. And I think, by doing that, I think the expectations from the fans and from the board is lifted. So I think they'll be disappointed if they don't get top six. Hopefully, with that said, it will make for a very open and entertaining game, because we're very much wanting to win the game ourselves. We're not satisfied with just accepting a point. So hopefully we'll have two teams going at it, trying to win the game, and hopefully that will make for an entertaining game for the supporters.
And your former club Aberdeen been in headlines this week with Graham Shinney's red card and the appeal they had, and the SFA came back and you got a further ban for a frivolous appeal. I just wondered what your sort of opinion is on that rule of the frivolous appeal.
I'm not really going to get drawn into that, to be honest. I have a lot of respect for Graham Shinney. He's a terrific player. That's why I brought him back to Aberdeen. Plays the game with his heart on his sleeve. I know the club means a lot to him. He's a very passionate guy, and he'll be a big loss to Aberdeen. But my focus has got to be here at Dundee United. We've got a big enough job on our hands without me concerning myself with what's going on anywhere else in the league.
And how's your team news going into the game?
Team's good. Obviously we've still got one or two guys who are out injured, who have missed the weekend, but a couple of them are making great progress, and hopefully, once the split happens, then we'll have maybe one, possibly two back available, which will give me more competition for places.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Jim. Just to go back to the table for a second, obviously it's great to see Dundee United rising off the bottom of the table. Would you say that this is the hard work now starting? Obviously it was a challenge to get off the bottom, but to keep you away from that relegation zone?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride for myself and the rest of the staff and the players since I've came in, because there's been so much information that's been thrown at the players, and I can't emphasise enough how good the players have been to work with. I was concerned coming in because I wasn't sure what to expect and what the mood in the camp would be like, but the players have been brilliant. They really have. They've worked extremely hard, and I know people will say, well, that's their job, they're expected to work hard, but there really is a feeling among the group that they just want to go and make amends for what's been a very difficult and challenging season. And I think we've gone some way in recent weeks to showing the fans that there's a group here that really care. Going into the Hibs game 3 weeks ago, we were 5 points adrift at the bottom of the table, and everybody outside our group probably had written us off. But I think it shows the spirit and the character that's within the team, that they weren't willing to accept that, and they've fought extremely hard to get themselves into a position now of 10th in the table, but it is very long way to go yet. There's a hell of a lot of football still to be played, and we cannot take our eye off the ball, and I won't allow that to happen. I spoke to the players on Monday, and just to remind them that we're still very much in that relegation dogfight. Nothing has been achieved yet, and we can't start patting each other on the back until 6 games from now when the league is done, and hopefully we're safe.
And you mentioned the fans there. How important is it that they stick with the team and show their support and turn up to the matches?
Well, the fans have been brilliant. Since I've came in, I wasn't really sure what kind of response or reaction I was going to get, because it wasn't always a stadium that when I was a player I got a very warm welcome, but I have to say they have been absolutely brilliant, and it would have been very easy, I think, and I've been at clubs in the past where when the team is going through a difficult time, they tend to stay away and don't come and support their team, but the Dundee United fans have been magnificent, and I hope we see an increase on the attendance this weekend as well, given the significance and the importance of the game, but also hopefully there's some supporters there that are enjoying what they're seeing, and they want to come and get behind their team, and we would always encourage that.
Perfect.
Confidence must be at a particular high at the moment. A couple of boxes ticked last weekend, 2 victories, 2 games on the trot, first 3 o'clock kick-off. How have the players reacted to getting these things out of the road?
Well, look, as you can imagine, they're extremely pleased with what they've done in the last few weeks, but they're very much recognising why it's happened. It hasn't just happened by chance. It's happened because they've worked extremely hard in training. And I said after the game at Motherwell, I would be very surprised if there was a group of players working harder at the moment than what they are. A lot of teams at this point in the season start to kind of wind down, and the players start to have one eye on where they're going on their summer holidays, but we haven't allowed that to filter into the group. We want to be going into the fixtures after the split fitter than what we were 8 weeks ago, and stronger, and actually our curve going up the way as opposed to declining, and I think we're starting to see that, and I think that's why we've got the results. It's not these things don't happen by chance. As a manager or a coach, the easy part is putting on the training sessions and trying to get the message across to the players, but the hardest part of any team sport is for the players to go and implement those ideas, and I'm just delighted that they've been able to understand what's being asked of them, but most importantly go and carry out that message on a match day, which is why we've picked up the points that we've picked up.
Looking back maybe towards the match, some things out with your control might have affected the game. There was an announcement on telly on Saturday night saying that VAR, we made a mistake. We didn't get the offside right, we took it at the wrong stage. Do decisions like that infuriate you sometimes? The second penalty, that there could have been, it looked like there was more contact in the second penalty than there was in the first one. Does Stephen Fletcher have any right of appeal or anything against any of these decisions? We've decided not to make a big deal about that second penalty that you've highlighted that wasn't given. I mean, if things had have panned out differently and we had have been denied 3 points like we were against St Mirren because of a poor VAR decision, then my attitude towards it might be slightly different. I don't like the fact that Stephen Fletcher got booked for simulation when clearly anybody watching the game
could tell it wasn't the dive. There was clear contact, and you know, it was actually a carbon copy of the penalty that was given. It was almost a mirrored image. So look, we're disappointed not to get that penalty, because it would have made life a whole lot easier and probably calmed a few nerves going into the dying moments of the game. But at the same time, you know, we're not going to dwell on it. We got the 3 points, which was the most important thing. Came from a goal behind, again showing really good character within the group, and played really well on the day. That was the most important thing. So we just have to try and replicate that again on Saturday against a different opposition that pose their own different challenges, but you know, it should make hopefully for a very good game of football.
Well, looking at some of these decisions, I mean, there was the decision you mentioned there against St Mirren, the ones at the weekend there, and even going back to before your time with the Hearts game from there. I've had a look at some of the officials that are involved in all 3 of these games. There was one official involved in them all. You know, is it just bad luck that this officials are perhaps getting it wrong?
Listen, you're going to get me in trouble if I delve too much into this kind of thing, because I've still got a suspended sentence hanging over me. So look,
I'll withdraw the question.
I think there's been enough spoken about VAR. I think you know, we all knew there was going to be teething problems. I still think there's improvements to be made. I think referees sometimes get things wrong, and that's just human nature. As managers and as players, we make mistakes as well. The VAR thing is open to everybody's own perception of what that particular moment looks like. So, you know, every team out there could talk about one decision or another that's went for them or against them. VAR has been kind to me at the beginning of the season, so I was a big advocate for VAR coming in. I do think we can improve in terms of how we use it, and I'm sure, you know, the more time these referees have got to use the system, then the better they will get at.
Looking towards Saturday then, away from other decisions and previous things, it's a big game for both sides. It really is a must-win for both sides. How exciting is that going to make this game on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I hope it will make it a very entertaining game. You know, Livingston can't come and sit off the game and play out for a draw, because a draw won't be enough. They're going to have to come and get after us. At the same time, you know, we want maximum points from the game ourselves. So I do hope it makes it a very entertaining game for the fans, and hopefully, like the previous 2 fixtures, we manage to come out on top.